Hi, I'm Terri Moses. I'm the Director of Safety and Environmental Services for Wichita Public Schools. I'd like to thank the Wichita Metro Crime Commission for giving me the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about what we do here at UST 259 regarding school safety and how it affects you on a daily basis. When I was preparing for this presentation, I realized that we would be taping it on December 14th, 2020. That's a rather somber year when we talk about school safety. Those of you that track these events know that 8 years ago today, on December 14th, 2012, the Sandy Hook shooting happened. 26 students and staff lost their lives that day. As a result of that, the Sandy Hook Promise organization was created. This nonprofit organization works to educate people about school safety and gun violence. So to start this presentation, I want to take the opportunity to show you a short video that Sandy Hook Promise organization has created regarding gun violence.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Pretty powerful. Sandy Hook Promise, you can see their logo there is a tree with handprints, and there are 26 handprints on that tree. Their mission is to educate people about school safety, so I'm going to take that as part of my mission today and tell you about school safety and what we can do within our schools to make sure that both our students, staff, and even our visitors are safe. Long-term school goals. We're like any other organization, the Wichita Public Schools. Several years ago when Dr. Alicia Thompson took over as the director of Wichita Public Schools, she created a program to create a strategic agenda. That agenda runs from 2018 to 2023. And as we work through this process, I'm very proud to say our board and our administration included goal number 4. Our first 3 goals are very education-based, and when you look at education institutions, they're generally going to be focused on things like graduation rates, reading proficiencies, and providing alternatives for students. But one of the things that we did in safety services, we really fought for number 4, to make sure that that goal was a part of everything that we do here in Wichita Public Schools. And I can tell you this year, as COVID has come into our lives, having this goal has been so important to us because we've really had to change and make sure that our focus is on safety. As we pivot from in-person learning to remote learning, as we talk about extracurricular activities, every time we make a decision about what we're going to do in the district, we focus on goal number 4. So, crisis. Everybody has crisis. Every organization should have a plan to deal with crisis and how we work with crisis. This is basically a crisis wheel. A lot of you that are in law enforcement have dealt with these your entire lives. We have prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery. When I talk about this, I go to your basic car. Your prevention, we're driving down the road, we have great roadways. We have signs, signals to make sure that traffic runs in a smooth way so we don't have accidents. We have protection, we have seat belts, the most common type of protection that we can think about. Mitigation, you go back to that roadway, you have the guardrail. If you do happen to go off the road, the guardrail is going to stop you from going further off the road and hopefully mitigate some of that injury or damage that's caused. Then we have response. When you're driving a car, that's EMS, fire, police, even the tow truck that's going to come help you deal with that. And then, of course, we have recovery. Again, when you're dealing with an accident, it can be the auto body shop, it can be hospital, it can be doctors, it can be physical therapy. So we take that model of that car and we turn it into what we do on a daily basis here at USD 259 and Safety for Services. We have to make sure that we have plans to deal with all 5 of these areas: prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery. The other thing that we do is we have to make sure that we have an all hazards approach when we're dealing with this. And when we go back to the Sandy Hook shooting, that's where it really comes out and it's really obvious. If we only dealt with trying to keep our schools safe from shooters, then we would make the mistake of making it more dangerous in other areas. And the example I give is you go back to the early 1900s, you had large cities who had large housing complexes built mostly of wood. But they were afraid people would break in and steal their property, so they put metal bars on the windows and doors. And what happened when we had fires in those apartment complexes or those living complexes? We had mass casualties and mass loss of life. We were so focused on one hazard that we made it more dangerous on the other hazard. We have to do the same thing in schools. After we have a school shooting, we hear people say we should put this lock on the door, we should do this, we should do that. Well, we have to make sure that all works in conjunction with fire code. So we can't just lock down our schools and make sure nobody can get out. We have to have approved fire exits. So everything that we do in regards to our crisis management wheels is done from an all hazards approach. So let's start with prevention. Some of the things we do: a positive school climate, an absolute positive school climate. A lot of times when I do this presentation, I ask people, if we had a live audience, what makes schools safe? Our best audiences are the ones that say the brick and mortar things, the doors locks, the cameras, the visitor management systems. But then the other side of that is that positive school climate, that supportive climate, people who give kids extracurricular activities, opportunities to expend their energy in a positive way. We know idle hands are the ones that get in trouble, so keeping kids busy. So when we talk about prevention, we really talk about that positive school climate. We talk about social emotional learning. One of the things that we've seen out of COVID is the concern about social emotional learning, and kids aren't interacting with kids, and they are losing the opportunity to learn those problem-solving skills that they learn when they're in school on a daily basis. We also want to make sure that we have trauma-sensitive practices, that we're aware that on any given day, a kid could have a bad day. For example, we work with the Wichita Police Department. If we know a kid has seen or been involved in a violent activity, we make sure and notify people who are in the school with that kid that, hey, give them a break, work with them, make sure they're with a counselor, and so we're using those trauma-sensitive practices. Another thing that we've added, as technology gets better, and certainly this year as we've had the increase in online learning, is internet filters. And that's where we basically monitor all of our student searches, and anytime they send an email student to student, we have certain codes or guidelines. If you search, for example, school shooting or suicide or harm to others, that's going to send us a notification, so we get the opportunity to contact the school, work with the counselors and the parents to deal with those students before they get into a crisis situation. Some of the things that the Crime Commission has been great partners with us in regards to those prevention activities. Two things that I want to point out is first the youth court program. This started in the last century in 1998. It's an opportunity for students to learn about court, and it's an opportunity for students to actually have a court within the school system. And then in 2019, we partnered with the Wichita Metro Crime Commission to do the Teen Drug Summit in terms of making good choices. We've seen, as everybody has, the opioid crisis here in Sedgwick County, and as a result of that, we worked, or actually the Crime Commission came to us and worked with us to make sure we could educate students, not just within USD 259, we opened it up to the entire area to educate people in regards to drug use, and we had the Teen Drug Summit. Protection, these are the things that I think people are most familiar with: school grounds, crime prevention through environmental design, fire code compliance. One of the things I want to focus here is our visitor management system. We've had this in a visitor management system, an electronic check-in system for years, but this year with COVID, it's actually worked out very well for us because it's our contact tracing process, so we know who's been in our building when somebody comes to visit. The other thing that we did several years ago is we created a run, hide, fight training video. I would love to show it to you today, but it's about 6 minutes and I don't want to take that much of your time. But you can go to Google and Google Run, Hide, Fight Wichita, and it'll actually pop up and you'll show our students, our schools, and the Wichita Police Department getting guidance to people in regards to how to respond to a violent intruder situation. Mitigation, de-escalation skills. We team with and work with the Wichita Police Department, Sedgwick County Sheriff's Department, Bel Air, Park City, in regards to sharing information about what's going on in our schools. Mental health is a big part of that social emotional learning. One of the things that we added just a couple years ago in regards to training was Stop the Bleed. And again, after Sandy Hook, that's one of the things that came out of that research into Sandy Hook, is many doctors believed that a group of people would have survived had they received training in regards to Stop the Bleed. So over the past several years, we've partnered with Wesley Medical Center and we've provided Stop the Bleed training, which is an advanced kind of CPR to our staff here at Wichita 259. Response, of course, this is the one I think most everybody's familiar with in regards to law enforcement. We work, we coordinate with, we have great partnerships with the police department, the sheriff's department, and the other law enforcement agencies in our community to make sure we have a coordinated response when we do have something that happens in our schools. And of course, we do all the reporting to make sure everything that is reported correctly. Run, Hide, Fight I talked to you about a little bit ago. We actually know that this video has been viewed over 1 million times. We get calls literally every year from school districts, from the post-secondary to the elementary school level. We even received a call from Germany a couple years ago asking if they could use our video as a part of their training process. So I highly recommend you go watch it if you have the opportunity. Crime Commission supports, one of the things that we are very, very happy to have, and that is our SROs, our school resource officers. We started way back when I was with the police department back in the 90s with SROs in our high schools. We expanded to middle schools, then because of budget cuts, we went back to having SROs in our high schools only. But they are great, great assets to us. We are able to share information with them. They are able to share information with us. I think it is a wonderful mentoring tool to see somebody in a positive light in a uniform walking down the halls of our high school. If any of you go to a sporting activity, take your time to watch the SRO and watch how they have positive interaction with the kids. It's one of the most heartwarming things I do is when I go see a kid walk up to a guy in uniform and just talk to him. Because sometimes in our communities, kids are afraid of law enforcement. And so our SROs certainly break down those barriers, and we're very appreciative of the support that the Crime Commission has given our SRO program. Another thing we have is Speak Up. Again, I go back to Sandy Hook. After Sandy Hook, one of the recommendations they made to all schools is that you have an anonymous reporting program. And when we go to kids and we ask them, why would you not report something that you heard that was maybe going to happen, they said they're afraid to do it. They don't want to be labeled a snitch. They don't want to be seen walking into the principal's office or talking to somebody. So what they can do through Speak Up is they can actually text us that information. And that's how kids communicate today, was by using those phones. So Speak Up gives us the opportunity for students to anonymously report information, and it's not just about crimes. We get reports of students who are considering self-harm. We get reports from students who are the students that are being abused, and just general concerns about the safety of our staff and our students. So Speak Up has been a very positive program for us. And then each year we have, at the beginning of the year, we want to keep those relationships between all of our public safety providers and our people in our schools. So the Crime Commission has helped us greatly when they put together a meet and greet. They provide food. I mean, what better way to get people together than to provide food? But it gives us the opportunity to have law enforcement, fire, and our superintendents in the room together and get the opportunity to meet each other generally before the school year starts. Recovery, one of the things we know about recovery, just like when you're getting back from surgery or whatever, it needs to happen as soon as possible. We've got to provide those mental health services after something happens. One of the things that we've learned from law enforcement is the ability to do debrief. You learn from what happens, not necessarily just mistakes, but you also learn from the good, and then we go share that information with other schools. So had we had, say, an incident involving police at one elementary school, we can share it with other elementary schools. Wichita Public Schools has 94 school buildings. And so we have a variety of things that happen throughout the district. And the ability to debrief and share that information is vital. Okay, we're going to end this today with another segment from Sandy Hook. This one was published about 5 years ago, and another short video that shows the importance of what we do on a daily basis in regards to school safety.
I'm here at the scene of tomorrow's shooting, where a 15-year-old will kill 4 children, 2 adults, and then turn the gun on himself.
When the shooting starts happening tomorrow, first I'll probably just think it's firecrackers or a car backfiring or something.
He told some of us that his dad kept a gun in his closet, and he always talked about using it on, you know, the people that bullied him. Tomorrow I'll probably say that I wish I told someone.
You know, after the shooting, we're going to feel pretty bad about picking on him, but until then, we'll probably just keep doing it because he's pretty weird.
Tomorrow I'll probably point out that something has seemed off with him since the beginning of the school year.
And I'm now joined by the officers who will be the first responders tomorrow. What additional details can you share with us?
Well, someone is expected to tell us after the shooting that the shooter has been posting on social media about doing this for weeks.
So how will you explain the shooting to your daughter?
Actually, I won't get to explain it to her because she won't make it.
This is Christine Lynn, reporting from the scene of another shooting we'll say we never saw coming.
Again, we can stop tomorrow's violence if we take care of things in the front end. If we have that positive school climate, we give the opportunity for students to report. We work together with our public safety officials. We work with groups like the Crime Commission and you as citizens to report what's going on and to help kids in schools thrive, keep them from an individual crisis so it doesn't turn into a school crisis. I again want to thank the Wichita Crime Commission, Metro Crime Commission, for giving me the opportunity to just spend a little bit of time with you to talk about what we do every day in regards to school safety. Thank you so much for your time, and if you do have any questions, feel free to call us here at UST 259. Thank you so much for your time.